Hey friends, how's it going? It's been a while since I've done something like this where I make several videos in one day, but I've actually had a nice, relaxing day where I've had company, been with friends, and I've taken the time to catch up with several videos, several people. Still many to go. There are a lot of people in the vinyl community. But I was, for example, watching Mr. Hall of Fame. Miss Brandon, how are you, man? I was watching his response to young lady Light Breeze. Then I watched her video, and she gave a great review of the new Tori Amos, and said some other very insightful things in general about music and success. Snow Patrol and Coldplay, for example. But I felt compelled to add my own response to the conversation about um, albums versus songs. And the first thing I want to say is I just love what you said, Brandon. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, which is first off, the idea. I just like how you called it BS from the top. So here's how I'll go ahead and add my my thoughts on it, because I like what you said. No need to repeat that. As I watched Light Breeze and listened to how she described what she read on the music forum that caused her to speak about this, where, a person endeavored to make a stance that such and such is like a dogma, that if you do this, then that. And what it caused me to reflect on is, something that I've thought of before is, well, in a lot of instances, when you use the word versus, that in and of itself right there indicates the issue, which is, so there's an effort here to divide and conquer, or at the very least, divide. And even though the idea of unity is an ideal as opposed to a reality, when it's viewed as a fundamental value, unity or efforts for people to abide uh, peacefully, if not even necessarily unified, is preferable to what we have in general, which is divide and conquer. And so that was my thing that I wanted to say about the whole premise of albums versus songs, which is, well, obviously you can do both, and one only has meaning that you ascribe to it. And it's like, surely by now, most intelligent folks have drawn back the veil and realized that opinion and thought and drawing lines in the sand and making declarations that I know a truth that everyone should abide by is just people speaking. It's all subjective. How in the world can one person know how everyone else is supposed to be? Because in many ways, most of us, or many of us, that's what we're thinking. Well, if everybody would do it my way, I know I'm one of those, I mean, inside, it's like, but it's all about perspective. It's all about our experience. And so to use that versus thing is to try to greater give a greater value to one purview and devalue another, or seemingly that's what this person was about. And that is definitely BS and self-serving and not really useful, because one of the things that happens is partly what I heard Light Breeze deal with, which is that it's taken personally and it's taken as an affront, and it makes a person question their own worth, which we don't have a need of. We don't have a need of people questioning their worth in this world. I tend to speak in ideals, or, I mean, but think about it. As value statements, I think it's something worth thinking about. I think we're at a time where the continued devaluation of one another as humans is almost unconscionable and really not of much use beyond self-serving gain or ego gratification. I mean, I'm speaking about these things being a human being, grappling with them as well. I don't have it all down, but I'm musing about this because this is what was brought up by watching the videos that I did, ending up with Light Breeze's video talking about albums versus songs. I know that I allow myself to experience music as it comes, and indeed, hearing a song or hearing part of a piece of music can lead me to experiencing the entire album. And when I like something, I like it when I want to hear the whole album. And I like it when I like something enough that listening to the whole album leads to repeats of listening to the whole album. I also have the experience where some of that leads to, you get to a point where certain songs become the standouts for a particular time. I know that I'm done with Catatonia now, but that's what was happening with that. It started with a song, the ending song, then it led to listening to the entire album from start to finish. Then that led to other songs like Buildings, and then Hypnone was the last song I was stuck on off that album, and now I'm moving on to other stuff. Listening to a lot of, I was listening to a lot of techno, and tonight I was listening to Fletcher Henderson with my friend Gary. And so to restrict oneself to any behavior because of a dogma is just, I think, depending on what it is you're attempting to accomplish, is generally ludicrous, especially something like, the appreciation of the arts. Again, when it comes to art, it is such a big wide world that, some discretion, depending on your what type of personality you have, and some things are probably best left alone. I mean, I know myself as an explorer and being of a very curious nature when it comes to music and art. I've gone down many paths to find out things, and some things have been rather unpleasant, but boy, have I learned. And so all I can say is, had I not felt the freedom to pursue these interests, I wouldn't have learned what I've learned. So setting people up to question how they experience art and music is, I think that's, I'm gonna put a value on it. I think it's juvenile. How's that? I don't really think there's much of a mature purpose for it. If there is, it's beyond me. But again, I'm just one person. See, I don't know. But it does appear to me that in general, just making statements that are basically your opinion. I mean, it's like, you may have a criteria, which, again, I do agree. Someone brought that to my attention quite a while ago, that, judgments and opinions aren't necessarily the same thing. There's criteria for judgment, da da da, and I can see that. But also, I think even that is not written in stone, because, again, I, for one, do not even think that man is that intelligent and that we know that much. So See, again, I'll say it again because it's strong in my mind. The idea of putting forth ideas that limit others in their ability to feel good about themselves and what they do, I think it's harmful and not needed. If I can go ahead and just throw it out more general, the experience of living has enough built-in pain and challenge in and of itself for us to continue to have to deal with the what I would call lug-headedness of each other's lack of humanity or short-sightedness. Sometimes that's what it is. It's sometimes we just, there's so many different ways of living and seeing life that there's no way that any of us can expect all of us to see things the same or even close sometimes. So I hope that what I've added regarding the album versus songs makes some sense. And yeah, I just hope it made some sense. But it just made me feel like, well, yeah, I want to talk some more. And good to see everyone. And it's in my heart to just say this. I know that over the couple of years I've been on here, I have said many different things. Sometimes I talk like a madman because I am. And if it has offended anyone, it's not that I can apologize. It's more like, please, don't take it personal. If it strikes you personal, like I want it to, like you think I want it to hurt you, no, that's not it. It's probably a reflection of how it's the hurt that I felt or continue to feel. So that's why I have in particular these last videos really been focused, on, just not, I've been focused on not doing that. And again, the reality is that doesn't mean it's all over. It doesn't mean that Dereck won't get on here and rave like a madman again. I don't know what will happen next, but I wanted to say that much because it's in my conscience that I'm certain that I've offended folks. It was my intention to speak bluntly and directly. The intent wasn't to hurt, although I acknowledge that may indeed have been the ultimate outcome. But what it really ultimately is a reflection of is the hurt inside of me as a person. I'm repeating myself. This is coming out piggybacking on the topic of what I said about verses, which is language is powerful and thought, the transfer of thought can be powerful, and it's a challenge to be responsible with what we say always. But it's a challenge I for one continue to try to rise to. So that's the addendum I wanted to add, because it all goes together. And these are words of love.